Concern is growing that some areas are likely to be impacted by this next tropical cyclone out in the Atlantic, which would be Gabrielle. I'm going to break it all down for you, show you the very latest data on that. Going to have your weekend forecast across the lower 48, which features some severe weather over the next couple of days potentially, with tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds ahead of a strong early fall cold front pushing south, bringing freezing temperatures potentially to the upper Midwest as well. We're going to look at that. Going to have your weather IQ question right after the tropical segment. I'm going to wrap things up with a look at the long range, as well as the return of geomagnetic storm conditions, a lunar eclipse, and an earthquake swarm in a strange place within the U.S. We're going to start in a strange place, and that's out here in the Pacific. We're going to begin our tropical update out here in the Pacific, taking a look at this. What is it? Well, this is Hurricane Kiko, max sustained winds of 125 miles per hour. It's a major hurricane, down from 145 the other day. It's moving to the northwest. And why am I showing this? Well, because it is headed toward a place we all know and love, Hawaii. So if any of you folks are watching this from Hawaii, get ready for a hurricane or tropical storm come Tuesday morning, early Tuesday, late Monday. We're going to see this thing move off in your direction, and so prepare now for that. Fortunately, it looks to weaken from a major hurricane down toward tropical storm status as we get on out in toward mid next week. Water temperatures are a little cooler up here, and as you can see, there are the tropical storm force wind probabilities. Undoubtedly, these will rise over the next few days as the system approaches, but just be on guard here on the Big Island and watch out for tropical storm force winds, squally weather, and heavy rain as we get on out into early next week. Now, switching gears, going back to the Atlantic, look at this. What is this? Well, this is our Invest 91L, as has been designated by the National Hurricane Center. And if you look closely up here, you can see the white clouds. Just ignore the bright convective clouds for a second. You can see an actual counterclockwise spin to these white clouds. There's a mid-level circulation. We don't have a low-level circulation yet, and we have a very disorganized system, and it's likely to maintain this status for the next couple of days. Most models develop it eventually, but it's very, very slow. So just keep that in mind, folks. But there are indications now that we're getting into better agreement on at least the initial part of the forecast track, which would put some of you folks down here in the islands at risk. At risk for what? Well, let's take a look and see. Here's the GFS. We've been showing the GFS and the European operational over the last several days on this channel, just so we can track the trends and see what the models are showing. We all know that way out in time, things get kind of wonky because no model knows, what the forecast is going to be 10 days out. But we can track trends, we can look at upper air patterns, we can do all of those things and understand that we're not making a forecast. In the near term, though, we do have a better idea of what's going to happen most of the time. The GFS starts to develop this. We're out here Sunday, now we're into Monday, and the GFS develops into a tropical storm. Look at that 995 low going here across the bottom of the screen, headed right toward the islands. And as we get on out in toward Thursday of next week, look at this. Thursday evening, overnight Thursday, we're impacting the northern islands up here near St. John's, U.S. Virgin Islands, British Virgin Islands, just north of Puerto Rico. It starts to turn to the north, and the GFS eventually, as we go on out toward day 10, which is next Monday, September the 15th, so right at mid-September, this thing is curving to the north and on out to sea. Got a couple of more waves coming off of Africa, got a couple of areas to watch here in the Gulf and off the southeast coast for development, but nothing major impacts anybody. Just some squally weather, some gusty winds, and some heavy rains down here into the island. So you guys need to prepare for that because most model guidance takes it into this area now where a few days ago everything was missing to the north. That's why we track it every day. European model, what does it do? Well, same time we start with the GFS, look at this. No closed low, just some high clouds and showers. The European model is not enthusiastic about this wave. If we roll this out, as a matter of fact, next Tuesday, when we would be getting close to being impacted here in the islands next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, look what happens here. Nothing really is going on at all. The European completely dissipates just about everything out here in the Atlantic. It's like a bomb went off and everything went away. Well, we've got a tropical wave moving off and a frontal boundary off the U.S., and we're going to have to watch those according to the European. See, there comes a wave off. It develops and moves to the north, and then a couple of other little series as we get on out here toward the end of the run. We're talking about maybe 11, 12 days out now. We've got a low pressure here developing off the coast, working back into the coast, and Well, that's what the European shows. Doesn't really show anything at all. Does that mean it's right? Absolutely not. What is the European doing? Well, it's seeing a lot of dry air around the system. Here's our little system right here. You see it down here in this little green envelope surrounded by a bunch of brown. That's dry air in the mid-levels. And as we go on out in time, run this out toward mid next week, look what happens. Lots of brown is showing up out here. That's bad for tropical development. The European is really choking everything down, all this dry air, more dry air coming off the coast of the United States. That doesn't mean we can't get tropical weather when there's brown colors out here, but just is one of those things that kind of impedes, like wind shear, and we've got some wind shear. Overall, I'm not seeing a great environment for tropical a major hurricane strengthening going into the U.S. right now. That doesn't look like it to me, but we're going to watch it. Here's the European ensembles, and I'm going to show you this. Okay, so you got a lot of L's out here. A lot of members the other day had L's. Not so many members have L's today, but most of them that do kind of bring it to the islands and then recurve it. These L's are associated with the next system, and these ones are associated with the next system. And these over here, all these little lines and so forth, are associated with homegrown activity. Right in here where the shaded area is, these are the areas that, these are the systems, and then this little one out here too, are what's associated with our current system that we're looking at, okay? So not as much activity on the European ensembles today as yesterday. Is that a trend? Well, it's one run, so we don't know. We're going to watch it and see. Here's the GFS ensemble suite, and you can see quite a few members of that ensemble suite actually do develop the system. Some of them get quite strong, get in here into the Caribbean, and then most of them curve out to sea. So that would be really good news. Here are the tropical models. Most of these develop this into a tropical storm within, say, 48 to 60 hours. Some of them take a little bit longer, some of them a little bit less, but the mean's around 2 days. So 2 days, we could be looking at a tropical storm according to tropical models. And most of them get it hurricane status. So we're going to watch this. One of them gets it way up here to Category 4 status. I kind of don't think that's going to happen based on the environment. There's some shear, there's some dry air. Conditions aren't all that favorable. The sea surface temperatures look good, but other conditions make me believe that we could be dealing with a low-end hurricane at some point. Will it get all the way up to Category 4 status? That seems unlikely to me right now, but stuff we've got to watch, folks. Things can change 10 days out. Here's the National Hurricane Center official track or official page, and it shows a 90% chance of this thing development. So they're still very enthusiastic about some level of development into a tropical depression or a cyclone. This is going to move to the west, northwest very, very, very slowly. So we've got plenty of time to prepare, plenty of time to track it. And kind of the bottom line, just to recap, we've got model variance. So we don't have any consensus about whether it's going to develop, how strong it's going to get, and where it's eventually going to go. What the most likely scenario is, we can say, is that in the near term, probably will develop into a tropical storm over the next 48 to 72 hours. It will probably move into the northern islands and impact you with some squally weather, some windy conditions. After that, chances are it will move on into the Atlantic and curve out to sea. That's the way it looks right now, but we are going to continue to watch it. No need to raise the alarm along the East Coast just yet. So there you have it, folks. That's your tropical update. I'm going to have your weather IQ question right now, followed by the weather forecast for the weekend over the lower 48. Friends, if you're new here, you haven't yet subscribed, join the team. Hit the subscribe button right down below. It's free. It's easy. We cover the weather every day, and my promise to you is that we have fun, and you will learn a few things along the way on this channel. That's my promise, folks, and I try to hit that every day and fulfill that. Give the content a like, and certainly leave a comment. If there's something that I can pray about, please put it down there. We want to be able to support each other and lift each other up, and so anything that the community and I can pray about, please put it in the comment section. I read and respond to all of those. We've got one more weather IQ question here in our weather map series, folks. I hope you know the answer. If you don't, you're going to know it by the end of the show. Here it is. What is the term for lines which connect points of equal height on a weather map? Isohypses, isometrics, isocratic, or isometers? If you know it, type it right down there. If you just want to guess, do it. If you don't, then just wait till the end of the show. I will reveal it to you. But right now, I'm about to reveal your weekend forecast across the lower 48, where some of us will see sunny weather, some will see rain, thunderstorms, others will see freezing temperatures, and some will see smoke. And I'm going to show you just who's going to see what right now. Look at this map, folks. Sea surface temperatures. I don't usually show this, but can you find La Nina? Bet you can. Here off the coast of South America, this is our ENSO region, and when these colors are blue, they are below normal. This is water temperatures on the ocean, and this area here is our ENSO driver. So we see La Nina and El Nino conditions by looking here and seeing what the ocean is doing. And looks like we've got cooler than normal temperatures. The CPC officially has us on a La Nina watch as we head into the fall, and over the course of maybe early winter, if we drop to a certain depth in terms of temperature departure and hit that over the course of 3 months, then we're unofficially a La Nina. And most models take us to a weak La Nina for a period of time, short one, and then bring us back out of that and return these temperatures to at or above normal. Look at this. Big departures from normal up here on the plus side, on the positive side up here, boiling in the North Pacific. I'm not sure what that's all about, but I'm sure that will play a role. Some people think that we're going to have a La Nina winter, which would be cooler and wetter across the north potentially, and warmer and drier across the south. So we will see how that plays out. Last year we kind of bucked the trend on that, so nothing's set in stone when it comes to seasonal forecasting. Sometimes it's a dart throw. Well, here's a more familiar map. This is the alerts map. Some dense fog advisories that are burning off as we speak over here in the Ohio Valley and up in toward the interior Northeast. A lot of air quality alerts, though, out here as we get into the northern tier, and this is in this particularly western northern tier, Pacific Northwest. A lot of wildfire smoke up here. Some of that's coming in from Canada. Got a lot of wildfires burning up here in the Northwest, too, and some red flag warnings. That's what's going on out here. Surface map today is pretty straightforward. We got a initial front here and another surge coming in here. It extends all the way back up into Canada. High pressure moving in to the plains, bringing in cooler conditions for you all. Going to see some freezing temperatures up here, likely in the morning. Severe weather out in front of that cold front, where we're going to see some instability, overlap moisture, and lift. A little piece of energy moving in from Kansas is going to impact the areas of the Tennessee Valley here and bring a threat of severe weather. Florida, you're seeing a stalled front continue to plague you with showers and thunderstorms, and we find some rain out here in the Four Corners region with a little tropical moisture influx coming in as we go through the weekend, back up into the Northwest too. Checking out the air quality, folks. This is not great up here in the Pacific Northwest, particularly Washington and Idaho. We're looking at bad air quality with smoke conditions down here toward Portland, Salt Lake City, Denver, and over here in Fresno and Los Angeles. Not looking at great air there either, so be aware of that. This is the smoke map, and you can see all of these wildfires burning up here, just releasing smoke everywhere we go, and more smoke coming in. A lot of this down here is in the mid-levels, and it's not really impacting us at the surface, but just be aware of the next couple of days, going to see a flow come out of Canada where those wildfires are still ongoing, and it's going to return some smoke into the lower 48 and also up here in the Pacific Northwest where you have more wildfires burning. Here's our vapor image, and look at this. We see several pieces of energy, big upper level low up in Ontario, and then we've got a piece of energy working through Kansas here. You see the dry air out ahead of that. Another piece of energy up here in this area working through, and across Florida, of course, too. And then we've had clouds and rain back up in through this area in the west. So got a lot of things to watch here on our water vapor imagery. This little piece of energy here moving through the Missouri Valley and into the Mississippi Valley, we're going to see that impact areas in the Tennessee Valley later today in peak heating and provide a focus for showers and thunderstorms. Some of those are going to be severe, and you can actually see that here on the National Weather Service or the Storm Prediction Center's map here. A slight risk from parts of West Virginia and Ohio down through Tennessee, central Tennessee, eastern Kentucky. We could see a few tornadoes. Thunderstorms going to move along. Inflow is going to be oriented just right to have some spin. Some of those are going to be supercells and rotate, so we're going to see spin along that boundary, and we could see a couple of tornado warnings later today. Wind looks to be the primary threat, the largest threat, with some of the thunderstorms that move through as they develop into line segments later. Hail's a possibility too. So have a way to receive those alerts. Keep your device charged and pay attention as we go through the afternoon today. Tomorrow the threat shifts east as the front shifts east. Moisture influx along the Atlantic coast ahead of the front. Going to see showers and thunderstorms develop all up and down the mid-Atlantic, interior, northeast, even coastal sections up here, back through the Piedmont, the northern Piedmont of North Carolina. So watch out for wind and hail. Most likely, if we're going to see tornadoes, it's going to be up here where the rotation and in the atmosphere is a little bit better, and so could see a tornado or two up in New England, but I'm not looking for anything like a massive tornado outbreak or anything like that. Wind and hail possible, particularly up here toward the north where the better dynamics are. If we look at the radar through the afternoon hours, we're seeing some rain around, International Falls, Marquette, over toward Thunder Bay and the UP of Michigan, back in toward Wichita and central Kansas, Oklahoma City, Amarillo down here in Colorado. Also seeing some near the Springs and back in toward Las Vegas. We're seeing rain this morning. Well, this is going to just intensify as we go through the day. It's going to be a rainy day in Kansas, Oklahoma, northern Texas, western Texas, and then thunderstorms breaking out as we get toward late afternoon from lower Arkansas up through the Nashville and on in toward central Tennessee here into Kentucky. And watch this, we just put this on in motion. We just see that front really lighting up with showers and thunderstorms later today as we go on into 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock. We're going to see that activity hold together. Plenty of thunderstorms and showers back from Oregon all the way into the Four Corners region into Texas. Some of those are going to produce torrential rainfall rates, so watch out for localized flooding there. Across southern Florida, we're going to see rain too, and this is going to hold together through a good portion of the night. We're going to see little line segments and clusters. Eventually that'll turn into stratiform rain. It'll all fade out as we get into the morning, or most of it will, but we're going to see some of that hold together through the Arklatex in here into the lower Mississippi Valley, as well as we get on in toward tomorrow morning. We're going to wake up to some rain over here in western New York around Buffalo and places like that. So have your umbrellas handy if you're headed out the door tomorrow. As we get on into Sunday or Saturday, folks, best chance of rain up through here in Maine. Could see as much as an inch of rain where you maybe need quite a bit of rain up here. So that's good news. Up through New England, back down into the Appalachians. Going to be a rainy day on Saturday, at least for part of the day. This will slowly push through. So none of these showers are going to be in a hurry to get out, but they're going to provide some beneficial rain, particularly up in the Northeast, and tropical moisture working in back down here in Texas and the Four Corners region. So going out into Sunday, we're going to see that front pick up a little steam and start to push things offshore. By Sunday afternoon, should be clearing out. And then, of course, back here in Texas with that tropical moisture working in, you guys need the rain back here in the desert Southwest and South Texas. And so we're going to see more rain back here, extending all the way back up through Idaho. Looking at how the water vapor imagery, this is actually the precipitable water. It gives you an idea of who's going to dry out, who's going to stay wet and muggy and hot and muggy. And so this line is kind of where the boundary is, that secondary push of cooler, drier air. Behind this, it feels like fall. Ahead of this, it feels like late summer. And you can see as we get on out here in late weekend, late Saturday, Sunday morning, that front is starting to push through. So as we get on into the evening hours, some of these coastal sections down here toward the southeast could see rain, while northern sections are drying out, and get that dry air is really, really difficult, having a really difficult time pushing farther south. And so that's just how it's going to go, folks. If you're up here in the mountains and the foothills up into Virginia, then you're going to see it's going to feel like fall. It's going to feel nice down here below that, back into Texas and up through the plains. Eventually, it's going to feel a little bit more muggy. That's what we're looking at as we go on out through the weekend. Now, wrapping things up here with the high and low temperatures over the next couple of days, going to show you these. Not getting out of the 40s up here around International Falls, and 50s and 60s everywhere else here in the Midwest and Great Lakes today. 70s up in Maine, quickly getting into the 80s and 90s down here into the Mid-South and the Southeast. Going to be hot and muggy. Down in southern Texas, going to be in the hundreds again. Desert Southwest up into the upper 90s, hundreds, and warm in the interior West and Northwest as well today. Things cool off a little bit out there tomorrow, finding our temperatures back into the 90s. Still going to be hot. You can enjoy all of those summertime outdoor activities, but not so much up here in the northern plains and into the Great Lakes and Midwest again, where we find highs in the 50s and 60s. Yet again, cool, nippy, feels like fall out there, folks. Get a pumpkin spice latte and sit on the porch. That's what you need to be doing in weather like this. 70s and then 80s and 90s back into the Piedmont sections of the Carolinas, and then down into the Southeast, hot and muggy again. But one more day of that, and we're back into the 70s in the Carolinas, at least parts of the Carolinas, folks. In the northern parts down here in the Southeast, still hot and muggy as that front presses farther south, 50s and 60s across the north, and 80s out west as well. Now, if we take a look at low temperatures, that's on Sunday, by the way. Low temperatures getting down into the 30s, where freeze watches are up for parts of North Dakota this morning. Tomorrow morning, actually, Saturday morning. So looking at that, going to be a wide area of high or lows in the 40s, then 50s through the southern plains up into the interior sections of the Northeast, and then 60s and 70s back in toward the Southeast, 50s and 60s out west as well. Getting on here into Sunday, the core of that cold shifts toward the east. I imagine we'll see some more freeze warnings, so watch out for those tender plants that you might have sitting on the porch. Tend to those widespread 30s and 40s definitely feeling like fall when you walk out the door Sunday morning to church. 60s and 70s back as you get on into the southeast, 50s and 60s out west as well. And one more for good measure Monday. We start to see a little bit of moderation to some of those temperatures, more 40s than 30s, and then 50s and 60s down into the south and some moderation back into the plains. Still chilly out west. And that's your high and low temperature forecast the next couple of days. We're going to take a look at that long range and see what we've got in store as we move on out into next week. All right, checking out our pattern over the next couple of days. We're starting here Friday morning. That will be today. I'm going to roll this forward. You can see the big trough, big low pressure here, and cool weather associated with these blue colors, warm weather associated with these red colors. And you can see this pattern begin to set in motion, a trend where we see this trough begin to migrate eastward across the United States and pull to the north and diminish as the ridge starts to break down out west. And you can see that diminish in color, diminish in intensity, and things start to move, and a new low pressure system, upper level low, crashes into the west coast, bringing clouds and unsettled weather for you all out there. Definitely is going to cool you off. It won't feel like summer anymore once that moves on in toward mid next week. Trough diminishes in intensity but still hangs on over the east coast as we get on out in toward Thursday and Friday of next week. Ridging in Canada, baking you all up there, and another trough in the Gulf of Alaska here coming in. Kind of got a split flow going on, but as we get on out toward day 10, we've still got this broad trough along the east coast. So if anything's setting here off the east coast, it's going to be hard for that to move in with winds and westerlies coming out at it, deflecting it back out to sea. So we're going to keep watch on all of the things that are going on with the pattern in Canada. If this block were to migrate over here into eastern Canada, that would concern me, and we've seen some hints of that for tropical impacts in the United States if there's a tropical system out there to impact. So a lot to watch as we go out in time, and things moderate. Generally, we're going to be on a moderating trend once we get past this weekend across much of the United States, and probably a drying out trend as well for many areas except for the west coast. As a matter of fact, you can see the temperature outlook here. Let me get on down here and show you near normal maybe along the east coast, but everybody else, this is 8 to 14 days out. So we're talking September the 12th through the 18th. Most of the country above normal, particularly here in the middle of the country, maybe near normal down here in California, Southern California, around Death Valley and places like that. Alaska, a little bit of a mixed signal. Hawaii above normal. And finally, precipitation below normal for just about everybody here in the east, with the exception of Florida, which is good news for you all, and above normal out here in the northwest, mixed in Alaska, and above in Hawaii. And that's your long-range forecast, folks. Now we're going to wrap it up with space weather, about to be back in geomagnetic storm conditions, but only minorly so. And is minorly a word? I don't know. But in any event, we're going to look at that right now. Well, we've been talking about this coronal hole, folks. Here it is, across the bottom of the sun. That's not really what's affecting us, but this area up here, this dark area here, that's the coronal hole, portion of the coronal hole that has increased solar winds headed at us, and it is going to be impacting us over the next couple of days. Put us in minor geomagnetic storm conditions. There's a few other sunspots up here. You can see the bright colors there. None of those are really going off, and if we take a look at those, right here, not all that complex. We've got one here. I think it's supposed to go with this one. If I click on it, we'll take it down here. A little bit of a negative and positive kind of mixed together here, but not all that much. Big positive charge leading the negative charge. So not looking at anything really complex with any of these sunspots right now. They're still morphing around, so we're going to watch them and see. But unless we have a big solar flare or anything, I'm not expecting much. But we've still got this earthquake swarm going on in Nevada. Why is that the case? It's an unusual place for an earthquake swarm. I'm not sure. But as long as it's happening, we're going to watch it. Had another big aftershock over in Afghanistan. It was like a 5.6 or something. But definitely watching what's going on here in Nevada. Not sure what's going on with that, but keep my eyes on it, folks. Moon phase, we are at waxing gibbous stage 94% going up to a full moon on September the 7th. That would be Sunday. So what is the full moon on the 7th? It is a corn moon and a blood moon. We're going to have an eclipse on the same day. Look at this. Up, too early. I'll show you that in a minute. This is the daylight meter, folks, and we are accelerating our decline into darkness with daylight being chopped off on the front end and the back end very efficiently to the tune of a little bit more than a minute now in certain places in the States, folks. Here is the blood moon, and here's where people can see it the best. Right here in Asia and India and parts of Australia and Africa and Antarctica. If you live down here, the penguins will see it well. But what is not in the middle of this map is the Americas, North America, Greenland, South America. We're not going to be able to see it, unfortunately. But if you're out here watching me from Asia, get ready to watch the lunar eclipse. It'll be a blood moon, and we'll see pictures of it, I'm sure. And that brings us to the end of the show, folks, sadly enough. But we've got the answer to our IQ question for the day, and here it is. What is the term for lines which connect points of equal height on a weather map? Out of all of these four choices, the actual correct answer is isohypses. Those are lines that connect height. Those are height lines on a map, basically connecting lines of equal height. I show these a lot when we look at our 500 millibar maps. These are maps generally about 18,000 feet, but if we look at actual height maps, we'll see different levels and all of that, and the height lines are called isohypses. So we'll look at those sometime, and we do occasionally here. So that's the show for today, folks. I really appreciate you tuning in. Hope you've learned something and had a good time. We'll be back again soon. I'll be traveling most of the day tomorrow and Sunday and much of Monday, so probably won't have another full video out until Monday evening, but I will tweet on X or post on X at Real Cold Rain, and I'll do a short reel or two here if you want to take a look at that to keep you updated on the system out in the Atlantic over the next couple of days. In the meantime, check out Mitch Westweather if you want. He covers it every single day. Gerald Mingle does too. They're both very good, and they are friends of mine, and they have weather channels themselves, and they are very, very good at what they do. Good friends. So anyway, folks, take care. Have a wonderful weekend. As always, Cold Rain reminding you that weather runs 24/7, but I got you covered right here, right now, 4814. Take care, everybody.